Chapter 22 to 23. The Triclops looked down at his opponent figuratively and literally. I mean, who else wouldn't underestimate a little kid that looked like he was 12? He launched a heavy drop kick towards Goku's head. Goku easily grabbed his legs with his small arms and spun incredibly fast to daze him. While he was rotating, Goku did a straight jab only for his fist to be encased by Tien's hand, forcing the latter to stop spinning. Tien then tried to twist Goku's arm by forcibly positioning his arm in an irregular way. He was then met with quick resistance, stopping him even though Goku was at the disadvantaged position. What is this strength? My hold is getting reversed. Slowly but surely, Tien's hand was getting put in an awkward position, making his face contort in pain and sweat. Quickly thinking about a way to get out of his predicament, he jabbed his finger towards Goku's chest to force him to react and release an opening. Lo and behold, Goku gripped his finger so hard and sudden that his finger got dislocated, increasing Tien's pain by several fold. Wincing in pain, Tien couldn't hold back his grin that his plan worked. Before Goku could respond to Tien's strange behavior, Tien charged up energy within his finger, allowing the yellow lights to infiltrate the gaps between Goku's hands. Doden Ray. Tien's finger exploded, making both Tien and Goku recoil back from the explosion. Receiving a concentrated Doden Ray to his hand made his hand be charred black while leaving a stinging effect on it. Tien wasn't doing anything better. Doing such a risky move did leave some repercussions. His finger was also blackened while still broken. Gritting his teeth, Tien snapped his finger back in its original position before any lasting damage could occur. Fully standing up, Tien's face turned grim once he knew the shit he was in. You are one powerful foe. It was unwise to underestimate you. However, this is the end of the line for you. Tien raised both of his hands in a spread gesture and brought them up to his face. Solar flare. A blinding light erupted across the arena, making everyone cover their eyes in fear of losing them. Goku was able to efficiently cover them as he closed his eyes while also bringing his shirt to shield as well. However, one opening was enough and Tien took it. Flying over to him, and the Triclops gave the monkey a strong uppercut to the chest, launching him up. Goku flew up with rocketing speeds, yet Tien managed to catch up to him and flip around to kick Goku at an angle, bringing him back to the ground. The outer ring was approaching fast and Goku had to something in order to not lose while Tien sneered triumphantly in the air. Although it was a risk, Goku finally unlocked a technique that he has been having trouble with until today, where he has seen some live samples. Mustering all the ki that he could, he sent it to the palm of his hands and feet, injecting the invisible energy outwards in a light and graceful fashion to stabilize himself. Everyone was getting tenser and tenser, wondering what kind of trick will Goku pull off to save himself, while the martial art practitioners widened their eyes in wonder. Namely, Master Rashi and the Crane Hermit schools were the ones who recognized what Goku was trying to do first with the way he was manipulating the ki. There is no possible way he will be able to use that technique. If he can, he is no longer a monster but an anomaly that defies common sense. Master Rashi couldn't help but exclaim that out loud as everyone else turned to him. Yamcha and Krillin knew that Goku was up to something, but they didn't know what, so they turned to Jackie for some answers. However, Jackie ignored them in turn to watch Goku's antics. Meanwhile, Tien and Master Shin were communicating with their minds linked. That darn kid is trying to use our secret flying technique. I'd like to see his face when he plants himself on the floor like the monkey that he is. Tien didn't respond to Master Shin but just watched Goku intently. He didn't believe either, but Goku was no normal person. From his age to his enormous strength, the boy genius could pull this one off too. And Goku did not disappoint. Just before Goku face planted on the floor, his momentum started to decrease and decrease until he started to float with his face inches away from the floor. Everyone gasped as the two hermit had their eyes out of their sockets from the shock that they received. Amazing, even I can't fly, and yet he was learned in seconds. No. How can this be? I spent ages perfecting that technique and it was stolen so easily by this newborn brat. Unbelievable. Tien destroy him while he is still above the ring out. Goku, with his newfound propulsion, started to admire the effortlessness that he was able to exhibit once he cracked the code on the technique. After flying a bit, he went back to the platform to resume the fight. Tien was already there waiting for him without a stance. He flew down to meet Goku without interrupting his celebration in learning a new skill. You rotten bastard, why didn't you attack when I told you to? You listening to me, you ungrateful swine? Kill him. There was an annoying fly in his ear, but he ignored it to talk to Goku. You are one of the craziest people out there. However, most geniuses are crazy. I commend you for making me release my final move. One that even you will not survive. Everyone was just calming down from the excitement to process Tien's words. Is this really the end? Or is this going to be like the other times when he said it was the end? What is this final move? Thoughts were interrupted when a voice of a decrepit skeleton started to talk. Tien, are you betraying me? I told you to kill that runt and you ignored me. This is treason and I won't accept that. I will kill that bastard myself. Shin started to climb the wall while Tien responded. I am done with your ways, Master Shin. I am grateful for what you taught me, but I don't want to be a hitman no more. Veins started to pop out of Shin's head when he heard those words. He did what any honorable man would do and did a preemptive strike. Doden Ray. Instead of targeting Goku as everyone thought, he aimed it at Tien in a fit of anger. Tien saw the attack coming and countered it with his own Doden Ray. The two beams of energy clashed, releasing sparks across the thorny ground, pushing everyone back. It looked like Tien was at an extreme advantage as he idly stood there with no sweat dripping as he pushed Shun's beam back. Panicking, Shun used his last trump card with great confidence. Kaioshin. Use your power and disorientate him. Shun smiled until he realized that Kaioshin was not providing support as he thought. When he looked to his side, he saw that Kaioshin had a conflicted expression on his face. Conflicted? What was there to be conflicted about? One side is your master that has taught you all that you know versus a traitor to the school that deserves death. When Shin thought this, he got even angrier and shouted at Kaioshin, surprising him out of his thoughts. You pale little piece of sh*t. Did you not hear what I just told you? Use your power so I can kill that freak. Shin realized his mistake a little too late when Kaioshin's face hardened at those words. Without remorse, Kaioshin used his power to make Shin have a stomach ache, weakening his Doden Ray. Trapped between two ends, he mustered a half-baked key cluster to serve as a shield right before Tien's Doden Ray impacted him. The Doden Ray exploded, creating cuts and bruises all over Shin's body, injuring him brutally. Fortunately for him, his makeshift shield absorbed some of the impact, allowing him to survive. There was an eerie silence that felt like it stretched on forever. They dared the other to speak first until Shin could not take it anymore and cursed his former students. Why, you ungrateful traitors! I will come back and get you for this. Mark my words. He then started to stumble off to the entrance to make his leave. Kaioshin, knowing that he was a potential threat, moved in for the kill until Tien stopped him. Don't. He taught us that is worth something. We are now even. Shun's steps didn't falter, nor did you even make a sound of appreciation as he walked past their field of view. Just as they were about to get on with their fight, they heard a sound from beyond the entrance. Crash. Hey, you bastard. You can't just walk in the middle of the road like that. You better have insurance, bub, before I pound the money out of ya. Hey boys, I think this one is deaf. Show him how the beating people up club operates. You are one nice dude under everything. Tien only smirked at Goku patronization before he slowly started to rise in the air. Going up meters in height, Tien had a view of the entire event while Goku stayed on top of the arena, promptly ignoring the sight of Shin getting practically beaten to death. He raised his interlinking hands together to make a finger pistol gesture. Copious amount of ki surged forward to his hands and he separated them, making a bright yellow mass of energy stretch from his hands. Goku didn't have any confidence that he could stop the attack at his current state and really did not want to wait until the arena is made again before going on to the next battle. Guess I will have to use this move that I have been training for the past 3 years. It isn't really complete and doesn't have enormous firepower, so I will have to use my full strength. While everyone was focused on Tien, besides the few keen eyes that were able to detect Goku's movements, he subtly lifted his shirt to reveal a blue belt buckle that had some writing on it. A white X3 was revealed, making everyone who knew what it was wipe their eyes in disbelief. Pressing a button on the screen, the white X3 vanished and turned into an X1 instead. Releasing his shirt, he got into a neutral stance. Taking a deep breath and closing his eyes, he did the first motion of the Kamehameha that made his wrist connect in front of him. New technique? Isn't this just a Kamehameha? Rashi was watching Goku with all of his attention once he heard of a new technique that he made. Or was he just pranking? What he did next shocked the old geezer to his core. Instead of moving his hands diagonally to his side, a cyan-colored ball appeared in contrast to a blue one that appeared on his hands. He moved his hands vertically away from each other, stretching out the energy ball much like how Tien did. Tien saw Goku's move but did not react too much to it and proceeded with his movements. He clasped his hands together in a triangle shape, leaving an opening to concentrate with. Finally being able to release all of his pent-up ki, he shouted the words that would destroy anything in its way. Tribam. A burst of blue ki launched out of Tien's hands, forming a rhombus shape to obliterate the area before it. It was at this time Goku opened his eyes to look up and counter his technique. Spiraling tornado. Goku spun his arms around in a circle while slowing, pushing forward. Just before his arms would lock and couldn't spin anymore, he did one last push to propel the movement forward. What came out was like a Kamehameha, but was spin in Tien's direction in wide circles. Not like a spring, but a tornado growing bigger and bigger the more distance it moves away from the source. Winds suddenly started to get sucked into the tornado from the extreme rotation, making everyone hold on to their loose belongings. Goku, with the little experience he has had in making new techniques, used the Kamehameha as a template to create a widespread attack representing a tornado. What it lacked in raw firepower, it made up with coverage and hindrance. Both attacks collided. The sides of the rhombus and the edges of the tornado grinded on each other, contesting for superiority. However, what the tornado had and the tri-beam didn't was the constant supply of energy. With one last burst, Goku pumped his remaining ki to force the tornado to grow and swallow the tri-beam into its eye, dissipating all the energy and recycling it to increase the wind pressure. What? Impossible. The tornado sucked Tien, making him lose all control over his body as he spun around in circles. Using the last dredges of his strength, he unwrapped his arms onto its original position. In response, the tornado and the wind died down, only for the swirling energy to encompass Tien with only his head sticking out. Goku immediately loosened his muscles from all the tension and let them drop to his sides. When Tien saw this, he started to struggle to get out, but the tightly coiled energy remained firmly wrapped around his body, making him look like he was in a cocoon. Picking him up, Goku threw him up in the air, letting him rest there for a bit. Tien slowly started to fall the floor headfirst. When he was leveled with Goku's head, the last thing he saw was the small smile that was etched on his face before Goku punched him to the bottom of the stands. He didn't go peacefully, however, as when Tien started to pick up speed, the coils around him started to once again spin him at rapid speeds as they fell off. Crashing at the floor, dirt actually started to fly everywhere, landing on a couple of people. A blue-haired girl, in particular, did not like dirt as she said, "I just bought these clothes and now there is dirt everywhere, poo-poo. If in my mouth, I can change into a handkerchief if you want." POW. Poir looked down at the large bump on Oolong's face that went with the rest of his pain-filled face. He only had one word to say: simp. Once the dust settled, a pair of legs were revealed as the rest of the man was drilled down on the ground. Everyone was speechless for a couple of seconds as they felt pity for the deflated legs that were on the ground. And we have a winner. Goku. Goku was currently sitting in the back resting his injuries while the next round starts. The last move that he did really wore him out. For all intents and purposes, it was not ready yet, but it did the job. Krillin's and Poot-Poot's match had just started in the background if the loud cheering wasn't enough of an indicator. Any competent martial artist would know who would win, so Goku really didn't pay attention and closed his eyes. His rest didn't last very long when he heard some footsteps approach him. Opening his eyes, he came face to face with Chun. He was still over. "That was a very interesting technique you did. Can you explain it to me a bit? I am very intrigued because I have seen never it from the Turtle School before. Did you create it yourself?" Jackie tried his best to act nonchalant about his questioning, but he was secretly euphoric with joy and anticipation. A student of his created a new move that was able to counter one of the strongest techniques currently. He couldn't help but feel proud. Proud of himself. "I trained that guy." "Oh, you are in love with him? Well, guess who trained him, babe?" As Jackie was ogling the girl in his daydream, Goku smirked a little, deciding to mess with the old coot for a little. "Why would I tell you? If you win your rounds, then I will have to fight you in the future. I won't just tell you about my greatest move in case you use it against me. What are you, slow?" Rashi opened his mouth and closed it several times. That sentence at the end obviously had a double meaning, but that couldn't be it. There is no way that he would know that he was actually Master Rashi. He was so tempted to ask him if he knew or just straight up tell him and get it over with. Saved by the bell as the fight in the stadium came to a closing. Krillin won by a landslide, but just humored his opponent by letting him show his moves. And the winner is Krillin from the Turtle School. This concludes the first round of battles, and we are moving on to the semifinales. The next match will be the old monster Chun versus the handsome bandit of the desert Yamcha. Jackie reluctantly went up to the stage when his voice was called out. In the end, he didn't reveal his identity, although he felt that Goku knew somehow. The two fighters went to their respective spots and got into their starting positions. Jackie felt at this point the tournament was kinda pointless for him to stay. Krillin and Yamcha have gone far beyond his expectations, let alone Goku, who has surpassed all odds. "You may be the last tourney's champion, but I will show you the fruit of my training under Master Rashi." He even told me that I was probably even a step above him. At this point, he was just rubbing his nose to remove the sh*t that was leaking out of it. "No, I cannot leave this guy get into the finals. All would be lost in the world if he does." It was sufficient to say that it did not take him too long to beat Yamcha's skyrocket ego down a peg, or two, or all of them. At this rate, you could only feel bad for the guy. He only wants to win at something in his life. No mercy in temperament as such in the beating that Jackie was giving the poor man. Jackie wins and moves on to the finals. For the next match, the original rivals have come to meet from the Turtle School, Krillin versus Goku. Let's see who the superior turtle is, although we probably already know. Krillin scowled at the last comment that the announcer made, even if it was just a whisper. Krillin didn't need another reminder to tell him that he is weaker than Goku. He knew that just fine and has accepted that considering his current performance. It doesn't make it easier for the young man to swallow if he had to be reminded. Let the match begin. Krillin did a fierce assault immediately. If he was going down, he was going to go down with a fight. No one wanted to be humiliated like Yamcha was last round. He did a two-prong attack by going so fast that both of his attacks hit in unison. Goku used one hand to block both by going at a faster speed, and Judo slammed the poor monk onto the floor. Quickly recovering, he reached with his legs to wrap around Goku's body to lock him in place. Goku jumped in response and plundered straight down to the floor. Krillin's head was bounded to land first with the way they were positioned, so he tried to loosen up and reposition. This time, however, Goku reversed it and locked Krillin into place by entrapping him with his tail. Krillin had the actual lock and advantage in position, but with Goku's superior strength, he stood still like a statue. Who knew having an extra appendage would actually be useful? Krillin's bowling ball planting in the middle of the stage, creating spiderweb extending to the edges. Goku finally released his friend and pried him out of the floor. Once he pulled out the unconscious midget, it was like he pulled out a tight piece on a Jenga tower. The stadium's pieces all fell down without its anchor and landed on the edges with dust scattering everywhere. The winner of this match of turtles goes to Goku. Unsurprisingly, Krillin was still unconscious on the floor, but when the announcer said that last word, a stream of blood originated from Krillin's non-existent nose. The final match of the 22nd World Martial Tournament. Reminisce of the last tournament, we have a cold blood duel of two of the strongest in the world. Will Goku, who was defeated the last tournament, redeem himself and achieve vengeance, or will Jackie retain his title and beat down all that oppose him as he stands atop the mountain of strength? Let the match begin. After the dramatic opening, Goku and Jackie started to have a casual conversation. You have grown tremendously, boy. I'll say you have the most potential this world has ever seen. I might even say that with your advent, something or one will need your skill for the greater good. All I hear is talk, old man. You may have won last time, but I have been training arduously for years for this. Truly, I don't believe to win this, but I will try and bring out more of your potential. You do know that with all this time you are wasting, I am recovering my ki from my last two matches, right? Jackie knew that. Of course, he did. Just because he panicked immediately didn't mean anything. Jackie did a normal approach and sped right in front of Goku. Standing in front of Goku, he planted his feet and did a blur of punches, all aiming at the focal points of a human's body weak points. He tracked Goku whenever he moved and tried to keep up with him. This workout produced some sweat dodging the flurry of punches, but nothing too bad. Making it more training for his body, he secretly put a hand through his GI and turned the gravity belt up a little. From 2 to 3. Jackie felt extremely aggravated to see that Goku was easily dodging his punches. He finally reacted and kicked his foot high in the air. Jackie put a firm defense in front of his head to block the kick, but instead of a head injury, he left with a leg injury. The kick was only a feint and changed his momentum to kick at his thigh. The old-timer couldn't stand anymore from the weight of the kick. Most of it attributed 3x gravity that was applied to his body, making the kick feel extra heavy. Nursing his wounds with both of his hands, he felt like he was a little child in front of his parent after doing something bad. Just 3 years ago they were on somewhat equal grounds, and now this 16-year-old teenager can practically kill him whenever he wanted. What a world! To salvage his reputation and pride, he resorted to his last option. Look, Tien is back up and is calling you. Goku turned to look back towards the fighter stands. He only saw Krillin, Yamcha, and Kaioshin staring back at him. Before he could tense up for the attack, he heard Jackie talk. I give up. He was already off stage by the time anyone could react. Rashi, by giving up, kept the little pride that he had by not having his own student hand his A*S to him. Everyone knew that had happened and only had one word to describe this kind of behavior. Shameless.